Well, mate, these appear to be getting slightly less fun each time lately.
Yeah. It was all fun and games until West Ham came along.
All fun and games until our relatively obvious weakness became relatively obvious to people. Speaking of relative weaknesses, I'm joined by KC.
Hello.
As always, I'm Jack. This is episode 94 of the Mighty Whites podcast. May as well just get straight into it.
I thought it was 95.
I did say that on Twitter earlier, but it turns out I was lying.
Ah, bollocks.
Yeah, I thought it was, but apparently it's 94.
At least you know I read the Twitter.
Yeah, which is more than I do. Who reads things that they write? It's no fun. Yeah. And, you know, you may read the Twitter, but could you read the signs? Because I certainly could with my money on Thomas Souček to score a header. Leeds 1, West Ham 2. Was this our worst performance of the season?
Yeah, by far and away. You know, I think with certainly the Palace game, there was always at least the excuse that we had no Phillips and no Rodrigo. I think most of us before this game were absolutely salivating at the thought that we're going to have Rodrigo and Rafinha in the same team, that we were basically going to be unstoppable. And
well, I'm pretty sure football managers taught me that for certain. Like, it's definitely true.
Yeah, in practice that didn't quite work out. Now, admittedly, the front four didn't really see a lot of the ball as it went.
No, I mean, I think that the only time that we properly, I mean, he had that effort at the start of the second half, but I think the only time we properly got Bamford on the ball in a dangerous area was when Cooper put him through to win the penalty.
What a through ball that was by Liam Cooper as well.
Yeah, it was. It was really good. He stepped in well. I mean, it was a terrible touch from Sebastian Haller, admittedly. But, you know, he stepped in well, really good through ball. Bamford round the keeper, blatant penalty. One of those that would have been a red card a couple of years ago, but only a yellow now, which I think is fair enough.
Yeah. And it was nice with Bamford as well. I think he looked like he knew what he was doing the whole time. And as you also correctly predicted on the last podcast, Fabianski, he has a mistake in him. And in this case, it was leaving his arm out to pull Bamford down with.
Yeah, to be honest, it was a mistake, but I probably wouldn't call that a mistake, because if he doesn't put his arm out, Bamford's scoring in an empty net. And if it wasn't for VAR and the meticulous use of the rules, he saved the penalty.
It was an awful penalty.
That was an awful penalty. I know that is what he does. He goes up slowly and waits for the keeper to move. And that is fine. But there has to be a moment in his head where he's like, say he's one step away from striking the ball, where the keeper hasn't moved. Yeah. And he does have to think, okay, I'm going to have to hit this hard now. Because it was which he did with the second one. He put a bit of power on it, and that's why it was fine. But it was a dreadful penalty. But, you know, 1-0 up, nice early lead. The problem is that basically as soon as we went 1-0 up, for the rest of the game, I thought we were really poor.
Yeah, I thought we had very little going on down either side. I know at one stage it showed most of our play was going down the right-hand side. But Harrison was having a hard time getting into the game. There wasn't a lot going through Rodrigo. You know, I just think we and you got to credit West Ham for it as well. I think West Ham set themselves up well. Let us have the ball across the back line. All we wanted, it was sort of once we started approaching the centre circle, they started closing down pretty well. I think they kept Phillips relatively quiet.
Yeah, it was one of those. They did that thing that a few teams have done. They let us go wide and pressed us in the wide areas. Never really let us get going. I thought it was quite good management, to be fair, from David Moyes. Like Masuaku being out made his mind up. But I did not see them switching to a more attacking system. It looked like 4-2-3-1 on paper, but Bowen just stayed up the pitch, so it was basically 4-4-2. I thought that Ben Rama playing in the middle as much as it pains me to say it, he played as sort of a number 10, so he was directly against Calvin Phillips, and I thought Ben Rama won that duel handily.
Yeah, I thought Ben Rama looks pretty good, and if West Ham had had their shooting boots on, they probably should have had 4 or 5.
Yeah, obviously I wouldn't go as far as the Paul Merson thing of, if Antonio had played it, it'd have been 7. But I think if Antonio had played it, it'd have been more comfortable than it was. There was so much. Basically, I thought Luke Ayling was our best player by a distance. Then Meslier. And although he did have a couple of cock-ups, I thought Cooper did all right. Other than that, I thought everyone was off the pace. We'll start with the main issues. So, as left side in the first half, Alioski and Harrison, I thought they were shite. There's no way around it.
No,
I like both of them, but they both had crap games.
No, I was willing to let a bit go with Alioski against Chelsea because as someone who realistically in this team you wouldn't choose to have playing left back up against the players he was up against in that game. I couldn't understand why he was as exposed as he was, but no, I just thought he was poor throughout. I thought his passing, his running, I just think there was nothing that really came together for him. Harrison, I couldn't tell you anything he did he did nothing, and I think Helder Costa did less.
I'll come on to Helder Costa.
But yeah, Harrison, I don't remember him beating anyone, getting around the back. It just didn't happen for him.
No, I mean they had a couple of decent link-up moments. Like there was one where they combined. Alioski pulled back for Rodrigo, sort of edge at box, and he shot wide. That was about their best moment. I thought that they linked up fairly well there. That was decent play. But it wasn't just that. They also just seemed to be able to get away down that side over and over again. But he seemed to try him on both sides. It didn't really work. Same in the second half. I did put on our Twitter, I wouldn't be shocked if the whole left side changes. I put that on Through It Altogether, actually. And it did. And as much as I don't think Shackleton did great when he came on, I think he did fine. But I thought that Shackleton right and Dallas left looked far better than Dallas right and Alioski left. Yeah.
I think one of the things I find frustrating is, we've talked about it a couple of times, the way Bielsa will move players where I know he will never go with 2 left-footed centre-backs, but in the end, I probably think we might have been better off keeping Ayling at right back. As well as he played, just trying to not rejig the team as much as we did.
Yeah, there's been a lot of call all over Twitter, and understandably saying, just play Strauch and Cooper. Because they are more centre-backs and stuff. And I do understand it, but he's never going to play 2 left ones. But I think that there is an argument that based on the last few games, Luke Ayling might be our best centre-back, which I cannot believe I'm saying. But he was the one player that seemed to really know what he was doing. I thought he was really good defensively throughout. I thought he handled himself physically as well as anyone did. When they marked Phillips, he was the one that stepped out from the back and took Phillips's position and picked up the ball and played the pass.
Yeah.
I thought Luke Ayling was really good in this game, and he deserved a bit more out of it than he got, really.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I think it's one of those where, unfortunately for me, it was one of those performances that's just, it's going to be very quickly forgotten about just because of how we played as a team and how we defended.
Yeah. Well, before we get to set pieces, there was the other half time. Tyler Roberts came on for Bamford later on. I don't think it made any difference either way because Bamford wanted the game and then Roberts wanted the game.
Yeah.
I was very surprised at that change. I would have probably because Rodrigo looked off the pace, I'd have took him off Fernandez, and because he's more likely to create something. But then again, I suppose Rodrigo should have scored in stoppage time. You know, so if he scores that, you go, all right, well, yeah, good changes, get a point out of it in the end. You know, that's fine. So it wasn't that, but the other sub was Helder Costa. And I have to spend quite a lot of time defending Helder Costa because my dad hates him. This was one of the games where there was no defending this. It's the lowest score I've given on the player ratings on Through It Altogether for a long time. I gave Jack Harrison a 2 once, so not second Bielsa, like first Bielsa season. He had one absolutely awful game, and I think it was a harsh 2. I think I was just mad. This one I look back at and I'm just thinking, and I gave him like a 3, and I think I was generous. I think the way that I phrased it on the website was that going forward, he did the square root of fuck all. And going backwards, he did nothing until he gave away a stupid free kick in a dangerous area, which we can't do. And I just thought, like, I know that Helder Costa is a good footballer, but like that's the sort of performance that I'd quite easily look at him and go, right, well, we've got Poveda on the bench to come on the wings if we need to. I'd look at a performance like that and go, fuck it, stick Sam Greenwood or Joe Gell out on bench instead. Because that was the kind of performance that just makes me go, no, you deserve dropping. It was dreadful.
Yeah. Like you say, it was an absolutely stupid foul to give up. In one of those areas where I imagine half the team was just shouting, stand him up.
Yeah. And he wasn't the only one that did it. Like, you look, it's not just the stupid thing. Look.
Because Harrison did the same thing for their corner that they scored from as well.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. We have to defend set pieces better. I know that it's hard when you're giving up an average height difference of like 2.5 inches, 3 inches a player and stuff like that. But there does need to be some cleverness. Like there was a Bielsa quote today. I've got it here. Leeds are susceptible to blocking, and we don't do the same on our set pieces. But he's not going to change it, that bit. Mm. And that was the quote. Respecting the rules is not being naive. But is it, though?
I mean, he is a purist, so I'm not in any way shocked that he looks at it that way. But we spoke about it earlier. I thought Rob Green was great after the game, talking about how you defend set pieces because, yeah, you've got Stuart Dallas marking Thomas Souček, who it's just not what Stuart Dallas should be doing. I can't say I've remembered many times and Stuart Dallas has been winning headers. And then you're putting him up against their most dangerous player, and he does just get nowhere near him.
There's a reason that I backed Souček to score the header. Because he's an unbelievable aerial threat. And the thing is, Souček is the player that I would have put our best header of the ball on. But even if you do, they had 5 real threats, and we had 2 that could even have a go at defending it.
Yeah.
But if you are that bad at defending set pieces, and we are, there's no way out of it. You know, we just are. Then the last thing you do is give away fucking stupid set pieces. And both of them, if they scored from a corner where they had a shot, like Luke Haley made a couple of really good blocks that went out for corners. If they score from that corner, I am less mad. But the first one, Jack Harrison gets correct side, steals in, he's won the ball, the danger is done. And then he tries to shepherd it out when it's nowhere near going, falls over and kicks it out for a corner. Now, I put when I was live tweeting the game on Through It Altogether, I put, that is a stupid set piece. And then bang, goal. Second half, Helder Costa, stupid foul, needless. Straight away, everyone. Why are we giving away a needless set piece in that area? Bang, 2-1, Ogbonna. It's not just that we've got a weakness. We've got a weakness, and we're saying, here, have a go at our weakness. It's That is, I don't want to say naive. That's fucking stupid, is what that is. And you don't need to do it. We can be. We're gonna have weaknesses. We're a team that are going to. If we have a great season, we're going to finish mid-table. We're going to have weaknesses. We're going to lose games. That's fine. But can we not shoot ourselves in the foot?
Yeah, I mean, we do have to be sensible about this because realistically, you look at the players we have on the books now, and regardless of injuries, we do have 4 centre-backs at the club now. So we're not going to go sign someone else just because they're tall. You know, as nice it would be to have someone like Pontus who would just charge out from the edge of the 6-yard box to attack these corners. That, you know, that's not going to happen now.
Yeah. Most of the players that are like that aren't good enough at everything else.
Yeah. You know, so it is, then you've got to cut out these mistakes and reduce the chances, put the balls in the box like that. Do I think Bielsa needs to look at different ways of setting us up defensively at corners? Possibly. I don't think he will. But if you keep trying to persevere with this sort of marking and we keep conceding goals from it, there is a certain amount of time, you know, after a certain amount of time, you have to be pragmatic about it and say, this is not working. No matter your best intentions of it, it is failing.
Yeah. Like,
so at that point,
it's not a coincidence that every single, like, we banged on about it, everyone banged on about it. Oh, God, these are our set-piece numbers. There's a reason Phil Hay wrote the piece before that game, saying these are all our set-piece numbers. These are bad. West Ham are a big threat at set-pieces, so we need to do something. And we didn't do anything to mitigate it. If anything, we exacerbated it.
Yeah. And again, whether it's a case of leaving Helder Costa and Jamie Shackleton up the pitch because they are the 2 smallest players who are going to be the most ineffective at corners, so it hopefully takes away another 1 or 2 of their players. Great. Do you put 2 players on the posts to give Meslier less room to have to cover, so he's not scrambling from one side of his goal to the other? Maybe. We've sadly, even Liam Cooper looks like he's a bit of a soft touch at defending corners the last few weeks. You know, people have been getting by him fairly comfortably. And at some point, you know, will it be better if and when we have Koch and Llorente playing together? Hopefully, but I'd rather not have to wait until February, March to see if that's the case.
Yeah. I mean, you know, before he gets back, at least we get his other centre-back back. I mean, Berardi's what, 5'9", 5'10"? There's only really one solution as far as I can see, and that solution is Gianni Vio. Because, you know, Liverpool brought in their set-piece. We need the set-piece guru. We need him back to teach Bielsa a thing or two.
to show Pablo Hernandez how to bend in that one free kick against Burton.
Yeah, that would have gone in without all the running around stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's... I mean, I'm quite glad football's moved on, and I think certainly even in the last 10 years, I think 10 years ago, you've had people screaming, you need to get defensive coaching. And we all know that's not sort of how coaching works. As much as you look at people's stats on Football Manager, that's not really how coaching works. So it's not like, okay, you guys are going to go do this defensive session over here because he is a good defensive coach. So you lads off with George Graham today. We got some shooting practice with Teddy Sheringham over there. So you lads get over there with him. You know, there does need to be, and there will be, obviously, with Bielsa and his team, a lot of analysis as to who it is that's getting beaten too easily, whether we should have players zonally marking, whether we should be giving ourselves a a yard and a half gap between their markers, so you've kind of got a bit of room to adjust. Just whatever it is, but there needs to be something addressed.
Yeah, because right now, the way we're defending set pieces, let's say we play Newcastle on Wednesday evening, not night, because it's like a 6 o'clock kickoff, isn't it?
Yeah.
We can go into that game, play really well, and I could see us getting beat 3-2, and all 3 goals being from set pieces. And that's just, we have always been crap at defending set pieces. I've always been worried about them, but I'm more worried about them now than I've been in a long time.
Yeah, as much as it was, what was it, 18% of the goals we'd conceded under Bielsa was from set pieces.
No, 18% were from corners, 44% from set pieces.
Oh God, yeah. So
that does include penalties, which is slightly different, but it's a massive, and because of there being 2 more, that will make. I think it was 115 before, so 117. So yeah, it'll be like 46.5 now.
I'd be interested to see at what point this season we surpass the number of goals conceded from the total of last season.
Yeah, it will be early.
Yeah. I don't know that there's been a lot of irregularities with goal scoring this season across the board anyway. So you kind of have to take it with a pinch of salt. But while those figures have been out there, in the whole time the last 2 years in the Championship, at no point has it been a regular enough issue that anyone's felt the need to really complain about it.
No, well, I just looked. We conceded 35 in the league last season. We've conceded 22 so far this season.
Oh, so mid-January then we're probably looking out for.
Yeah.
Unless we have to get tonked anytime soon, but the regularity in which it's happening now is alarming.
Yeah, it's not even like that was the only issue. Like I thought Phillips did okay, but I thought Click and Rodrigo were both really poor in that game. I know Click got a goal at his second goal at the penalty, but Click just seemed miles off. Now, Declan Rice is a really good player, but he's not rapid. He's not slow either, but he's not rapid. And every time Rice just took, the way that Kante did it. And I went, yeah, but Kante is really quick. And Declan Rice was getting the ball and just bombing through the middle of his team. And everyone was behind him looking like they're running through treacle. I couldn't... It was... If it wasn't for the fact that I know that physically this won't be the case from watching us over the last couple of years, you'd have sworn that we're all knackered.
Yeah. And look, there are times when you have to just say, and it happens to every team every season, there are just games where teams don't show up and don't play well. It's going to and it's going to happen a little bit more this season than it has done for the last couple. And it's why I've said now this season, like I am not stressed out or concerned going into these games because we've gone from having 2 years of expecting to win every game to me just going, look, as long as it's not going to drop us into the relegation zone, we're going to lose some games here. It's going to happen. But the issue, like, I think the differences between good teams and great teams are great teams will play terribly and still come away from games like that with a point or scrape a win somehow. And if we could have defended set pieces marginally better, we might have still come away from that game with a point. Sebastian Haller could still be playing now. I don't think he was scoring in that game.
No, that's true. Like he was, he really wasn't up to much. And he's another one. He was like 45 million quid.
Yeah.
Wow. Mind you, though, I suppose if you watched Rodrigo in that game and they went, oh, he was 28 million, based on that game, you'd have been going, that sounds like 26 million too much. Now, I like Rodrigo. He's a really good player, but you wouldn't have known it based on the West Ham game.
Yeah.
He was not at it at all. I suppose we might as well get into Well, I can say there's not been a great deal of actual news, obviously, because there hasn't been much. But even though it's not Leeds related, I did want to bring it up. Gerard Houllier died earlier today. And he just, all that time he had at Liverpool and stuff, and he was always a manager I liked.
Yeah.
I don't have anything great to add. I know that he was heavily involved at Clairefontaine Academy and one of the people given the most credit for bringing French football through that generation that they had that won the World Cup and the Euros and all of that. He gets given loads of credit for that in France. But I just think of him as the Liverpool manager for a few years that I always quite liked.
I mean, if you're a Liverpool fan, I dare say you hold him in high regard because from kind of the early 90s onwards, they'd had that barren period of not winning anything, not really doing anything, and then under him, you've got the treble winning season, haven't you, with the FA Cup, League Cup, and the lesser of the trebles.
The weird treble.
Yeah, I mean, it's not everyone's first choice, but 2 trips to the Millennium Stadium and a really entertaining win against, was it Alves they played in the UEFA Cup final?
Alves,
yeah, that was a cracking game.
Wasn't it like 5-3 or something?
Yeah, that was a cracking game. Yeah. So yeah, all of a sudden you bring in some success back to Liverpool. I know it's not his fault. There'll always be a little bit of sadness because of the way he was placed together with Roy Evans at first, and in what was definitely an attempt to try and get Roy Evans to resign so no one had to sack him.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Liverpool team really came. He got the best out of Emile Heskey, out of anyone I'll ever watch.
He also, he was the manager for my favourite game I've ever been at, the Duke of 4 Liverpool 3.
Yeah, well done, Gerard.
Yeah.
Good work.
Obviously, it's a weird thing to have as your best memory of someone, but it is. I can't pretend it's not. And I have made the very sensible decision based on everything I've heard. I think the Square Ball went back and looked at it, stuff like that. I'm never going back and watching that game.
No,
because it wasn't as good as it is in here.
No, when at the start of the initial lockdown, when Sky started showing full 90 minutes of sort of famous Premier League matches, I watched that, and it's not a good game. Football has changed. So it's in the same way that when I watched Euro 96, it's not good. But England weren't that good. And Wembley is about 3 times bigger than every other football pitch for some reason.
Yeah. Speaking of things that were in the past, we might be able to go to a game. It came out today. It's not official, but basically saying that Leeds is is pretty much guaranteed to go into Tier 2 on Wednesday. Can they confirm that now? Because
is that confirmed?
Because then we could have 2,000 in against Newcastle. But they won't. They'll announce it Wednesday, so it's too late to do anything about it. So we can't have them in. And then the next home game isn't until the 27th against Burnley. By which point, they'll have had the 5-day relax for Christmas, which is fucking ridiculous. Because, of course, viruses know it's Christmas, so they'll leave you alone. Either relax it or don't. Stop pretending you're listening to scientists when you're clearly not. So hopefully this game, but I don't hold any hopes up. Burnley on the 27th, we could get 2,000 in, which would be nice. Even if I'm not one of them, it would be nice.
Yeah, it'd be great to see. I mean, it was so funny watching the Arsenal game the other night because it was just silent in there anyway.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
I know.
But I don't blame them. They deserve booing off. Like, they really did.
Well, they've lost 4 out of their last 5 as well, and the 5th game was a draw. So I'm not surprised.
The 5th game was a draw against us, where they got battered into the ground.
Yeah, so I'm not entirely surprised that people aren't best pleased with Arsenal at the moment. But yeah, it'd be great. It'd be great to see fans back in there. Everyone can go marvel at the new floodlights, which are officially up with our snazzy new promo video.
Yeah, the promo video seemed like overkill to me, but people liked it, so fair enough. The people who were at the stadium for the West Ham game said there was a noticeable difference.
I can't
Right.
say as I noticed on TV, but
No. Well, unless you have a really good Sky Sports subscription, which I don't, it's very hard to
do you
tell.
not have Ultra K, Ultra 4K, high def? No.
Yeah. So we just got a comment through from Stephen Horseman that I'll get up here. There was a stat online that said Man City have a squad that's short of an ours, but don't have the trouble with set pieces. Where I mean, they're not amazing at set pieces, but they're a lot better than we are. It's not just about height. There are things that we can do.
Yeah.
And one of them is to be a bit cleverer and maybe block some people off. And
be a bit more cynical.
Yeah, just, you don't have to cheat. It's not cheating. It's just being a bit clever.
Gamesmanship, I believe, is the term.
Yeah. So Wednesday night, which is why we're doing this, there was no point us doing a review and a preview because of the short gap between matches. Wednesday nights, Amazon Prime. Wednesday nights, Amazon Prime. Welcome to modern football. Wednesday, 6 p.m, Newcastle at home, which I keep feeling like, like I did this with the Arsenal game as well. My brain keeps being utterly convinced that this game's away.
I mean, if you're not there, I feel like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's because, obviously for years, I've gone to all the home games. So when I'm not going, it feels like we're away from home.
Yeah.
They've actually won the last two. Obviously,
a slight gap in between the two.
Yeah, because the Villa game got called off for COVID stuff, didn't it?
Yeah.
They had a major outbreak. But, I mean, a 2-0 win away at Palace is not to be sniffed at. That's a really good result. The 2-1 win at home to West Brom, I would expect them to win that. It was Dwight Gale quite late on. But they've been playing a 4-4-2, which in theory means we're playing 3-3-1-3.
I've also realised that I think Dwight Gale looks like one of those Egyptian hairless cats. Like I don't know what it is about him. There's something in his face. But I'm just throwing that one out there for you.
I can't say I've noticed. What it looks like to me is someone who is a good finisher.
It was a great header, wasn't it, as well?
Yeah.
The hope would be that, given they only started back training last Thursday, wasn't it? I think they got 2 days of training in before, or 3 days of training in before the game. Is that we can just outpace them and just outrun them. And
how much pace do you need to sit on the edge of your box and knock long balls up to Joe Linton?
Well, hopefully we've got a bit more attacking impetus about us, and we kind of stretch them about a bit, and that that's what I'd like to see us do anyway. It's certainly a game where we should be on the front foot straight away. It's even off the back of that West Brom win, it's a team that is relatively devoid of creativity.
Yeah, well, it's weird with them because I'm guessing that because he wasn't involved against West Brom, I'm guessing that St. Maximin's still not going to be involved. Because it's weird that they've got no creativity, but they've also got Sam Maximin and Almiron who are capable of magic.
Yeah.
It's just that they don't really get to do it. Like their team against West Brom, Darlow and goal, Kraft, Isaac Hayden played centre-back, Kieran Clark, Jamal Lewis, Almiron, Sean Longstaff, John Joe Shelby, Matt Ritchie, Callum Wilson and Joe Linton. Like, that is not much of a side.
No.
But they won the game. Obviously, if you bring in, say, oh God, who's the good centre-back, English guy who's captain?
I've forgotten now.
His name just went. He used to play for Forest. Jamal Lascelles. Sorry, his name just disappeared out of my head. Like, Lascelles comes back into that back four. It's a bit stronger. If St. Maximin comes in, it's a lot stronger as well. But like they suddenly, I can't believe that I'm saying it, but suddenly Joe Linton looks like an okay footballer. having been dreadful for a year and a half. I mean, again, he was another one, 40 million quid.
Took him nearly an entire season to score a goal at home.
Yeah. But the one thing that he has got is he's quite strong and his hold-up play is good. And if they play two up front with him and Wilson, if they can get... But if they just have to get the ball forward. They don't have to break the press and play their way through and all that. If they can just get the ball forward to them two, there's a chance of them doing something. Because Callum Wilson's really good.
Yeah. Callum Wilson's certainly what you would consider the biggest threat if he gets the ball in and around the penalty area.
Yeah. If they do play 4-4-2 against us, do we play strike and play like Cooper, Strike, and Ayling? One, because I mean I don't expect we will because it's not his style, but it doesn't just allow the 3-3-1-3 to play. It also gives us that extra decent option at set pieces.
Yeah, it would make the most sense. I'm just trying to, because the only other option at this point really would be drafting Calvin in.
Yeah,
I don't want to see us do that.
Yeah, it's one of them. Like if we played the same team that we did against bloody hell, my brain. I'm
West
very
Ham?
tired. West Ham.
I got you, Doug.
With that side, if we went 3-3-1-3, you would have to drop Phillips in. Because like Dallas, Alioski, Click, Rodrigo can't play there.
Yeah.
No one else can, so it would have to be Phillips.
But to be honest, when you start after that, then you're looking at Cresswell and Casey, really. Which is not who I'd want to see thrown into a Premier League game.
So I wonder then, like whether we'd think about changing a few things in that case. Like, if it's 3-3-1-3, if you've got say Ayling, Strike, and Cooper at the back, then you could have wing back wise. Does he stick Alioski and Dallas, or does he play like maybe Dallas and I don't know? Maybe he plays Harrison as one of the wing backs.
That's what I was thinking, to be honest. And after the last two performances, I don't particularly want to see Alioski at left back again. Yeah, I'd quite like to see him have a break. But then again, if you bring Harrison to left back, then it's either Helder Costa or Poveda that comes in.
Yeah, I just wonder if in a 3-3-1-3, like three at the back, Ayling, Cooper, Strike, the three in front, Dallas, Phillips, Harrison, the one, Click, and then like Rafinha, Bamford, and just, I know it's not ideal, but just play like Rodrigo off the left.
Rodrigo, you could have Hernandez come in.
Yeah, we're going through all this. Bielsa did actually say in his press conference today he's not naming his team anymore. Not because he thinks it's wrong, just because he's sick of people talking about it. So there's bound to be two injuries announced on the day. Absolutely. But it's probably just going to be unchanged anyway.
Yeah.
Phillips will drop into centre back and Click will drop deep. And
it's one of those daft things with him saying that he won't name his team again because of the way the media reacted to it. And again, as we said before, anyone that paid attention to us in the Championship for more than 5 minutes will know after the spying incident, he named the starting 11 for every game for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And it was not like he ever pulled any deliberate switches to trick anyone.
No, there was a couple of times where there was an injury, wasn't there? And that was about it.
Yeah, it was. So for us, when he did that, we were just like, yeah, this is what he does sometimes. Yeah. And the media just, it's one of the things I really get annoyed with about this Premier League media at the moment. Because I think a lot of the local journalists from Championship clubs, sort of outside of Leeds, got very used to it very quickly. from just their general coverage of the championship. But there's a lot of media at the moment who will have paid attention to the style of football we played and the fact we had a big name manager, but maybe not so much to some of his idiosyncrasies or anything like that. And I'm just like, oh, look at this guy. He's naming his team, and is he trying to play mind games with us? I'm like, no,
he's done this before.
No. He's a very simple man in many ways.
For some reason, no one understands him but his woman.
I doubt she does. He never spends any time with her.
I'll watch for football. You stay over there. Sounds perfect.
I will see you in 3 years.
I'm guessing that they will, because they've won the last two playing 4-4-2. I can't see them changing it.
No.
They may get some better players in, but it will be roughly that. They'll sit fairly deep. They'll play in the way that we don't particularly like. But maybe because it hasn't been working, as much as for 2 years I've said, we're better 4-1-4-1 than we are 3-3-1-3. And overall, I stand by it. But because we haven't been playing that well, it might do them good to have a bit of a change.
This will also be the first week in a while that I can remember where they won't have had a murder ball session.
Yeah, because
that's
they maybe did it today.
I'd be surprised because typically they didn't do it for midweek when they had midweek matches, which
typically they didn't play that bad.
Yeah,
they'll be out to punish him. He'll have them all in going, you're all fat, you need to lose 3 pounds now.
Even you, Leaf. 6 stone gaffer. Drop off. Come
on. So what do you reckon is going to happen?
I feel stupidly confident going into this game.
Wow, it's like watching you approach a girl at a bar.
No, there was absolutely no confidence in that. And I don't even remember a time when you'll have seen me approach a girl at a bar.
Normally when we made you. Because you kept going, she's pretty.
Oh, look at her. Go talk to her.
No.
That's a terrible idea. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stand at the other side of the room and look, and hopefully she doesn't get the bouncers in to have me kicked out. And then I go home and cry. But enough about my sex life. I'd like to think we'll bounce back from this, and I think as much as I hate the way Newcastle is set up, and it is the sort of 4-4-2 at this point is absolutely the sort of system that seems to trip us up despite its simplicity. I don't think this Newcastle team will be up to much. I'd like to think we can sort of run rings around them with our relative levels of fitness. The ones who aren't injured.
Yeah. I'm trying to take the emotional side of it out, because emotionally I'm like, oh, we're on such a bad run. It's all going wrong. It's all going wrong. What are we going to do? But I think that player for player, we're better than Newcastle.
Yeah.
It's just whether we can break them down or not.
The funny part about that Newcastle team, and I am talking about it with both squads fully fit, it's mostly the new signings that I would have been most interested in, is getting mostly Lewis and Wilson more than...
Yeah, like they're good. To be honest, I'd have loved Jamal Lewis, because I still think we need a specialist left back.
You say specialist, I just think actual.
Yeah, actual left back. But yeah, I can't bring myself to predict a win where we're defending set pieces. I just can't. I'm going to say 1-0.
I'm gonna stick with a win for us and say, to be honest, with the way we're defending, I'm gonna go 3-2. With a 3-2 win. Big goals everywhere.
Yeah. Just because it's us, Joe Linton will score that goal. He's nailed on. And you know what else? because it'll be like a fucking overhead kick or something. Oh, he's barely scored a goal for years, and now he's scoring screamers.
Bang.
Twat.
That's what I'm going to be shouting at Leeds defenders next time I see a corner going.
Yeah, just get rid. For the love of God, get rid. Oh, by the way, I can't really talk about it because I didn't see it. I was working. I should mention the 23s beat Villa 3-2 yesterday and went top of the league.
Good. I was also working, so also did not see this. I did see Tyler Roberts was playing at one point.
Yeah, Hernandez, Stoic, and Davis all started. Paveda and Roberts were on the bench, and like they all did sort of 45 minutes. I know Roberts scored the winner. We were 2-0 down. Bobby Cameron equalised. Sam Greenwood scored a penalty, and then Tyler Roberts scored a penalty. But whether there were penalties, how we actually played, other than seeing on Twitter that when we were 2-0 down, everyone was saying, "How the hell are we 2-0 down? We've been the better team." I never saw it myself, and I had a chance to watch the highlights or anything. But it's good to see the one in the top at league. That's, I think, the only bit of news, so we don't really need to go into what else. Do we have anything else that we need to cover before the game?
Not that I can think of.
Right, well, cool. That will do us then for episode 94 of the Mighty Whites podcast. We're on Twitter at Mighty Whites Pod, same on Facebook, or it might be Mighty Whites Podcast on Facebook. We never use it. The stuff we write is on Through It All Together on Facebook, at THRU, it's all LUFC on Twitter, throughitalltogether.sbnation.com. This will definitely not get edited, so we won't have done as advert at the beginning. So if you've got any recording needs or editing, mostly editing at this time because you can't really get into recording studios, go to Medicine Room Studios on Facebook or medicineroomstudios.com. He is the one. When this podcast sounds good and has music on and stuff, and there's intros and everything, that's because he's edited it for us. This one I will just upload as soon as we're done because too quick a turnaround and he's got work and stuff. But
and he can also make a mean pizza.
Yeah, he's got, you know, actual clients that pay him a lot, that pay him actual money rather than just, you know, a little sponsorship on the podcast.
His mate's doing a little moochie on him.
Yeah. But yeah, that is everything that we've got to do. Hopefully, when we come back, to be honest, because the game's at 6, should we do one straight after the game?
Yeah, can do. We can experiment with that.
Yeah, well, that is definitely not a promise. That it might be Thursday, but we might do one straight after the game on Wednesday, and that because I feel like Scum on Sunday deserves its own one.
Yeah,
like previewing it. And God, please let us beat Scum. It's on my fucking birthday. Please let us win. Right, that'll do us.